and things like that. They can react in that way. So there's a lot of different techniques that you can use to get animals to either stand still or draw them while they're moving. And the biggest thing that I can't stress enough is, if you want to draw them while they're moving, you need to know that anatomy. You need to know it, and otherwise you can't really, because as they're moving, you can get that quick gesture, and then you use that knowledge to fill in the gaps.
How do you set up your brushes, such as like opacity, flow, hardness, pen pressure,
I just
etc.?
use what I don't customize my flow or opacity. I sometimes do on my opacity, but I do that as I'm going. So, but I usually keep everything at 100%. But I'm going to go ahead real quick, and the first thing I want to do, I'm going to stick with this drawing. Sometimes I'll go in and I'll do a more refined drawing than this, but I think this is fine. I'm going to go ahead, and you can see, originally what it started out very, very, I've got this down to 15%. It started out super scribbly. You can see I was just scribbling, trying to come up with something. I didn't know. I started out drawing this out of my head, trying to find the right pose, and then it was that reference photo I found afterwards for color. But I got this down, and then I did this drawing over the top of it. Let me knock this back again, and refined it a little bit. So I'm going to start drawing because I'm talking so much, so much.
Hola.
So I want to get that nice ochre color of the skin. I mean, of the fur. And I keep this really loose. I've got a layer underneath, and I'll vary it up. Whoops. I'll vary it up as I go. Come on.
So I got another question over
Sure.
here whenever you're ready.
Yep.
And so, question: I've been researching concept art by guys like Jim Kim and Bill Schwab.
Yeah, Jin
Uh,
Kim and Bill Schwab. I know them both very well.
the
They're
character
great guys.
colors, if the character colors are flat and not rendered, should my folio be the same, or should I fully render my character work?
No, you know what? It depends on what you're going for. If you're going for character design, you don't need to render it. You don't need to do that at all. Um, that's what for character design. They're mainly going to be interested in your drawing ability, your design ability, um, that sort of thing. I mean, if you can get in there and get uh, some stuff in color, then that's a plus. But it's not imperative. I've never seen it as imperative. So I'm going in right now and just adding some variances in the color. Right here, there
So
we
what is
go.
the what is the best way to learn things like anatomy, animation, character design, etc.?
You named a whole bunch of different things. Um, so most of it, I mean, there's all kinds of information online now, which is great through books. I learned my anatomy through figure drawing and through books, and just drawing from life. Uh, so if you can do that, do it. Um, for animal anatomy, once again, there's so much stuff online, and there's also drawing from life. And look at comparative anatomy as well if you're interested in animals. Comparative anatomy is really important. I for me a lot of light bulbs went off when I started looking at comparative anatomy. Well, I'm talking about the different parts of the human body, let's say, compared to the different parts of a specific animal's body. We all have the same parts; they're just proportioned differently. And once I realized that, like I said, big light bulbs went off all of a sudden, and it was a big discovery for me. So here I'm getting in, and once again, I'm just laying down local color and trying to get it nice and varied. I've got a nice chalk brush that I'm using right now. It's a very organic feeling, which I really like.
All right, Nick says we are officially up everywhere, including YouTube.
Awesome! Awesome!
So I've got another question here.
Yeah.
Does your animation course actually teach you how to animate from the very beginning, or is it more for experienced animators?
No, it's my animation course. covers the very basics. I mean, I'm talking about bouncing balls all the way up through, character animation. So, and it's not software specific. I'm using TV Paint as the tool to teach, but you can follow along on paper. I wanted very much for the viewer to have that ability to. I'm really just teaching principles and not software. Once again, jumping around, playing with color, keeping it loose, keeping it loose. King of the castle, king of the castle.
King of the castle. Just tap it in. Got another question here for you. Have you read Simplifying Drawing for Planning Animation? And any books on animation that you recommend? And also, have you seen Nausicaa yet?
No. 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 No and no.
No.
So the first book I have not read. As far as books recommending for animation, I highly recommend The Illusion of Life by Frank Thomas and Ollie Johnston, and also the Animator's Survival Kit, I think, by Richard Williams. Definitely. Richard Williams is a genius animator. And there we go. I want to make sure I'm getting the same value patterns here. What were the other questions?
Have you seen Nausicaa yet?
Oh, no. And no.
Any tips on learning animal anatomy? Should we draw from anatomy books? Should we use photo reference? Should we draw at the museum? What do you think is the best at first?
It's all of the above. And you should be drawing from life as well. The best thing you can do is get out and observe animals from life. If you're looking at photographs, if you're looking at books, two-dimensional images will lie to you. Okay, it's hard to get a true understanding of the form of something just through two-dimensional images. Now, that being said, if you can watch video where you're seeing an animal move around, even though it's 2D, you're seeing it move around, you'll get a better sense of its form. So a lot of times I'll sketch if I can't be out someplace. Like, for instance, I'm doing a short animated piece called Snow Bear. And it's a polar bear. And I wasn't able to go to the Arctic. And I'm not a big fan of polar bears in zoos because they tend not to be like their wild counterparts. And so I basically recorded every polar bear show that came on, and I drew off the television screen, and freeze framed and used my phone and photographed right off the TV, and I keep a little file of images through that. But books, internet, drawing from life, all of that's going to help you. Especially drawing from life, learn animal anatomy. But the only thing you can do is, just do it as often as you can. That's the biggest thing you can do.
So I got another question here from Twitch that Nick relayed to me.
Awesome, we got Twitch.
Have you ever tried or drawn something on an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil?
Yes, I have.
You have.
I have. And I love it. It's just that I don't use it very often, and I know I need to more. I gotta go a little warmer, a little brighter, a little warmer. I very often, when I'm away from my Cintiq, if I'm out, away from my desk, I'm very often using traditional drawing mediums, paper, pen. My sketchbook is, basically not an iPad. But I'm trying to get in the habit of using it a little bit more. I mean, I think, going traditional is never going to be out of style. But I do use it. I use traditional stuff much more than digital when I'm away from my desk.
I also got a question from YouTube.
All right.
What do you think of darker animated movies like Watership Down, Animal Farm, etc.?
I'm all for any, a lot of people ask me, would I work on a more adult oriented film? I'm not going to work on something just because it's adult oriented. My answer for that would be no. I love family entertainment. Now, that being said, I'll work on anything that's a great story. And if that great story involves older themes that are more acceptable to an older audience, then yeah, I would definitely work on that. But I always talk about family entertainment. I heard a great analogy from a guy I used to work with. Not an analogy, but the way he looked at it was, if you think of a pyramid, and the pyramid is your audience, okay? And at the base of the pyramid, that's everybody. That's the young people, or the kids, the adults, the old people, everybody. Everybody's at that base. That's family entertainment. And every time you knock your rating up, whether you go from rated G to PG to PG-13, you're going up that pyramid until finally, when you get up to the very peak, you're at snuff films or something like that, or pornography or whatever. That's at the top. It's a limited audience. And so, me as someone that likes to create films and tell stories, why would I ever want my audience to be any smaller than the biggest audience I can make it? And so that's why I personally love to do family entertainment. I don't make kids films. I make films that I want to watch myself, but I just try to make them in a way that everyone can enjoy them. And so that's always been my philosophy as far as storytelling and filmmaking is I'll work on anything as long as it's a great story and it's got wide appeal.
That all ages can enjoy.
Yeah. Ed Zachary.
Ed Zachary.
So I've got this. I did a shadow layer, but it's too gray. So I'm just going to get rid of that. I'm going to do a new shadow layer. I'm going to go a little cooler with it. There we go. And that coolness, that blue over the orange is going to that's really going to cancel out the color, and it's going to go brown or gray again. So I might go warm with the shadows first. I'm just going to see what happens.
That was weird.
What happened?
Our stream dropped for like a second.
Are we back?
We're back. It's just
all right.
Kind of had that scary hiccup, like uh-oh.
So I've got to set this to multiply. Multiply. And I'm thinking of some light coming down. It's not strong light, but enough to cause shadows. So I'm thinking, okay, he's got hair that's underneath, it's hanging over, so that's casting a shadow. This is all going to cast shadow. His ear is going to cast a shadow coming down like so. And I'm still going very loose. Underneath his brow, there's going to be a shadow. It's going to cast a shadow onto his eye. Like so.
Got another YouTube question.
Sure.
Alright. How well should a good artist be able to draw from imagination? Could you talk a bit about drawing from imagination?
Yeah. I think your drawing from imagination will get better the more you draw from life. And you have to, and it depends on what you're drawing. I mean, obviously a child that hasn't gone out and seen a lot will always draw from imagination. Kids are always, that's the thing about kids. I was watching a bit today on Facebook about this guy talking about creativity. And his theory is that we're all born artists, and as we grow older, we learn not to be artists. And there's truth in that. But if it's reality, if it's real looking things that you want to create from your imagination, then you have to start studying the world around you, right? And you need to, here we go, getting some shadow in here. You need to see how the world works before you can start pulling it out of your brain, right? And so if you make a lifetime of that, then you're just going to get better and better and better. And like this lion, for instance. This was something I did out of my head. I then looked at other reference to make sure that I was on target. But right now, everything I'm doing out of my head while I'm talking to you. I'm thinking about the lighting. I've looked at lighting all my life. I've looked at the way light falls on objects, and I've painted it. And so now I'm using that knowledge and applying it to what I'm drawing now. And so the more you draw from life, the more you look at the world around you, the better off your drawing from imagination is going to be.
I got another question here.
Yeah.
When you do digital painting, do you often use select tool to fill and paint, or do you paint like it's a traditional painting?
I tend to paint like it's a traditional painting. My background is traditional work. I've only been working digitally for the last, I don't know, 12 years or so, and I come from a very traditional background. So and that's one of the things I love about, I work in Photoshop. It's one of the things I love about Photoshop is that it's so robust. 1,000 different people can work in it 1,000 different ways because it's just, you can do so many different things different ways. And I like that. And it allows me to be the artist I want to be from a digital standpoint. So I'm going to go in now and hit some highlight areas. Notice I'm still keeping it really loose. So I'm going to go to overlay. And I'm going to pick another, I'll probably stay in this same warm color. Now it's overlay, so it's going to be, I'm going to create little brighter areas. Use my other brush. Maybe knock that opacity back a little bit. It's a little too yellow. I'm not liking that yellowness. I'll pull that back. There we go. I'll get warmth and purity of color later on when I'm more direct, painting more direct. Right now, I just want to get light and dark. That's what I'm shooting for.
So we got another question from Twitch.
All right.
So the first one, Twitch asks, have you worked with alcohol markers before? I'm drawing a picture with them at the moment while listening.
Yeah, Copic markers I think are alcohol, aren't they?
I think so.
I'm pretty sure they are. I think. I don't work a lot with markers, but I do work with, I have worked with Copic a little bit. Copic or Copic?
What is the brush you're currently using? I like the texture of the brush.
This is a custom brush that I made, and it's actually available on my website. If you click, let's see, we got our new channel. Is it working?
It is.
Babam. CreatureArtTeacher.com is my website where I've got all kinds of courses on drawing, painting, animal drawing, animation, all that kind of stuff. And if you sign up for our newsletter, you'll get this brush free. But this is just my custom brush I created. I created it a few years ago, and I use it for everything. I really like it as well. So, thanks. Thanks.
An avocado.
Thanks.
That's where you got it from, dude.
Yeah. And I'm just gonna throw in a little bit of rim light, just to see, just to give it a little humma. A little. How's your father? Let's see here. There we go.
So got another question here.
Yeah.
I always have trouble getting my overlay layer to look right. Can you explain the overlay layer and what color you use for it?
For overlay, I use overlay for light areas. If I want to get something looking really warm and lit, then I'll use high value, above like mid value, color, warm color, whatever. And it just like, in multiply, when you multiply, it's multiplying with the layers underneath. With overlay, I believe it's kind of burning out the color underneath with the color that you're using. It's, getting it hotter. And so that's really the only one I use is overlay, or the only ones, overlay and multiply. And that's, like I said, I use it to burn in an area to make it feel lit.
How would you make an animated movie by being an animator and director? That's my dream for the future. What would your advice be?
Um, well, to do a whole film, to be an animator and a director on it, that's going to be really tough. Just because there's so many things that are involved in directing a film, directing an animated film. No, that's not to say you wouldn't be able to animate on it. On Brother Bear, when I was directing Brother Bear, I animated as well occasionally when I didn't have as many meetings. I would go and I would jump on my drawing board and I'd animate exactly at the desk that Dustin is sitting at right now.
Yes.
There we go. Just want to get a little bit of, just going very loose, loose as a goose.
So what's the difference between animating straight ahead from animating
Pose to pose. Well, animating straight ahead is just what it sounds like, and animating pose to pose is exactly what it sounds like. So, let's say, I'll show you an example. I'm working on a shot right now that I'm doing pose to pose. This is a shot where there's several phrases happening where this little bunny, she's saying memories. They warm you from the inside, but they also tear you apart. And so there's this change of emotion, but there's memories, which is a pose. They warm you from the inside. There's another pose. Each phrase has a pose in the way I'm seeing it. Now I'm going to have to connect it with nice fluid animation, but each area of this of the shot of what she's saying has its own distinct pose. So when she says memories, there's a pose. They warm you from the inside, so she gets really happy and warm, and then she goes, but she deflates. There's another pose. They tear you from the inside or something like that. But let me go ahead and play it for you. So you're going to get a sense. I've only got 4 drawings for this whole shot, but you're going to get a very good sense of how she's going to act it out just from those 4 drawings.
Memories. They warm you up from the inside, but they also tear you apart.
Let me let that play again.
Memories. They warm you up from the inside, but they also tear you apart.
So what I'll do from that is I'll go in and I'll animate basically through these poses, getting them to connect, getting I'll animate within the poses, but those poses will be dominant throughout the shot. So that's pose to pose animation. Now, if I had something, let's say she's running around, she's frantic. Now that's something I would do straight ahead. It's not something that can be done pose to pose because there's so much action going on. I would just start at the beginning and just start drawing forward, just doing one drawing after the next because there's so much frantic action going on. So those are kind of 2 different times that I would use 2 different approaches to animation: pose to pose, which I just showed you, or straight ahead. Actually, let me see if I can find. I don't know if I have it or not. Let me see, recent files. Let's see. This one right here. I'm not sure if it'll come up.
Wait for it.
Nope.
Hold.
Hold.
Hold your ground.
Let me try one more. Sorry, guys. Recent. Color pass. Let me try that one. And I got nothing. Sorry. So I had this polar bear animation where I had this bear that runs in and he rolls through the snow and plows. That one I did straight ahead animation because there's a lot of action. This is another one you may have seen last week that I did. If you guys were watching me animate this, let me turn this off. Let me turn this on. This is a very scribbly approach, but this was pose to pose as well. I did more drawings.
Well, it does sound.
But here.
Well, It does sound plausible enough tonight.
There's
but
the pose.
Why don't we wait till tomorrow?
There's a pose.
Let's wait for the common sense of the morning.
And there's my last pose. So those are definite poses that I hit and then connected, you can see, with some very rough animation. And in the end, what I ended up with, after I finished all my in-betweens and got all that animation done within the poses, this is what it turned out to be.
Well, it does sound plausible enough tonight, but why don't we wait till tomorrow? Let's wait for the common sense of the morning.
See, the thing about animating pose to pose is it tends to keep your animation simple. You can't, you don't need, stuff moving all over the place for your shot to be entertaining. You want it to be believable, and so that's when we talk. We tend to talk pose to pose. If you watch me, I like to talk with my hands a lot. I tend to talk pose to pose. And as you talk to people, especially if you're an animator, get in the habit of watching people and just see how they phrase their dialogue. And you'll start seeing that as people say phrases, they'll usually hold a pose per phrase. And that's how I try to approach my animation.
And by the way, who did the voice for the bunny?
Oh, the bunny is Vedanta, my girlfriend Vedanta. And what I did was I recorded her. And then this is how she originally sounded, right here.
Memories. They warm you up from the inside. But they also tear you apart.
So I wanted something smaller sounding. And so I pitched it just a tiny little bit. And this is where we ended up.
Memories. They warm you up from the inside. But they also tear you apart.
So yeah, it was a lot of fun. So back here, back to my lion.
But what is the current news on Snow Bear?
Well, we're trying to make some headway on it. We're talking to another friend of mine that's going to join us in the creation of it. We've kind of stalled out because we're creating other courses. And I just haven't had time to storyboard it. And so I have a friend that possibly will storyboard it and work with us on that. And then we'll move on from there. And we'll be able to share more down the road.
I also got a Twitch question here whenever you're ready.
Sure.
What's more important, the demo reel or the portfolio?
That's a really, really good question. They're both independently important. And I know that's kind of a cop-out answer. But your portfolio is really going to show your drawing ability. Your demo reel is going to show your story acting ability. Or your whatever it is, your technical ability. Maybe you're doing layout or something like that. And you have a demo reel for that. It's hard to say which is more important because I don't believe that either one is more important. That's a very good question. You obviously want to put your best foot forward on both. I've seen people that had really good portfolios that kind of blew it on a demo reel because they put everything in there. You don't need to have everything in. Especially a lot of people right out of school. When they're putting their demo reel together for animation, let's say, they're putting in, their first walk cycle and all this stuff. You don't want to do that. You want to put your best work in. And if you don't have work that's, that belongs in a demo reel, then you might want to consider taking the time to create it. And so there you go. There's my opinion on that.
And speaking of portfolios, what would make a good portfolio?
What would make a good portfolio? That's too broad of a question. I'm not sure. There's portfolios for everything, so I'm not quite sure what you're asking. If you're submitting to an animation studio, let's say you want to be a character designer, one of the biggest mistakes that I used to see, because I was on the review board at Disney as well, is trying to do cartoon characters. Draw from life. We all wanted to see what the artist could do. Wanted to see their drawing ability. Nowadays, it's a little different because a lot of the 3D artists, especially animators and whatnot, they don't draw. So I don't like that color. I'm going to dump that. I'll do that again. But as far as what makes a good portfolio, that's a little bit too broad. A good portfolio consists of the best work you can put in there. That's the biggest thing.
It just depends on what you want your specialty to be.
Yeah. So now that I've got everything kind of roughed in, you can see I've got it like, rough color, rough light and shadow. Now comes time for working the details. And so now I'll slowly go in and start working. I'm going to push some of the shadows a little darker, which is what I'm doing here. And this will help me define some of the hair shapes.
Got a YouTube question whenever you're ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah. All right.
Huh?
Commissioner. How big is your canvas size in Photoshop right now?
This is 18 by 24 inches. I want something that can be blown way up. And it's at 300 DPI. Image size. So you can see it's 18 inches wide, 24 inches high, and I'm at 300 DPI. So it's a big file.
So I got another question here.
Yeah.
For you, what makes a good storyboard? What's the most important thing in a storyboard?
Clarity and creativity are some of the best. There's so many different elements that make great storyboards. Great acting, originality is so important. And like I said, clarity, cinematography is another big one that I think gets thrown out the window. Now, I don't think it's absolutely imperative. But the more you can get your storyboards to have the feel of what the finished look is going to, or what the finished staging is going to be in the movie, I think the better off you are. And a lot, if you, as a story artist, in my opinion, if you want to have the biggest impact, do boards that are going to last. A lot of times, the guys will do boards they'll just do them. And sometimes you have to do it really fast. But if you have the time, a lot of times guys will do them, so quickly, and they just get changed down the road anyway, and they're not even close to what they started out as, eventually down the road. And so I'm always a big advocate of, storyboarding is. I know I'm jumping all over the place because I'm trying to paint and talk at the same time, which I stumble with sometimes. But storyboarding it's the first time. Think of it this way: it's the first time we're going from the written word to the images on the screen. It's the first time you're actually working in the medium. You're working in film. And so, as a story artist, I would want my boards to feel like the movie. And so I try to study cutting and pacing and camera moves and camera work and all of that kind of stuff so that my boards can be as strong as they possibly can be. Just think about that. When you're watching a storyboarded film, that's the first time that anyone's seeing any kind of visual representation other than reading, after reading the script. And so it's your responsibility as that story artist to take people on that journey. So you want everything to be as clear, well acted, entertaining as possible. So for me, drawing ability is super important as well.
Got a new question here on YouTube.
Yeah.
So for Vedanta's pitch in the bunny scene, did you adjust that pitch in TV Paint? Or did you use a different software to do that?
No, I just adjusted it in Premiere editing. And all I did was just speed it up. So it was a very simple pitch shift. I just sped it up by, I think, 3%. And that was it. So here I'm slowly, through shadow, creating some texture.
Oh yeah, what nib do you use in your pen?
I use the gray, I don't know if you can see that or not, but I have the little gray felt tip nibs on my stylus.
Can you show them one more time?
Can you see that? Is that focused?
Try bringing it a bit closer.
Towards me or towards
the
camera?
camera.
Can you see that? Can you see that? A little bit?
Very...
Actually, where have I got them? I've got them stashed. Right here.
You got them stashed in your secret stash compartment?
Yeah, there's my little baggie. My little baggie of nibs.
Your little baggie of your nib stash.
Yeah. I think if I had this on me and the cops found it, they'd wonder what the heck this was. Yeah.
Is it a new kind of drug, sir? But what particular type is that again? It was
It's the gray felt tip.
Gray felt tip.
Yeah.
And you just like it for the texture?
Yeah, for the texture. It feels really nice on the glass.
It feels splendid.
Splendid. So I'm slowly just drawing in. I don't want to use fur brushes for this. I'm not going for a photographic feel. I want it to feel painterly. So I'm gonna let it be loose and painterly.
So I got another question here.
Yep, that's why we're here, man.
That's why we're here. That's why we're all here. Have you seen any good?
What was that?
I don't know.
That was good. That was good though. I liked it.
Maybe we'll try to voice it sometime. Turn to an animation. Have you seen any good student films or work by young artists who used your classes and tools? And if so, was that rewarding to see your methods in use by a new generation?
That's a great question. I've seen some animation. I haven't seen films. But yes, it makes me super happy because this is why we do what we do. And you know, I don't want this art form to die. And I think there's a lot of people out there that want to learn it, and I feel super blessed to have learned it the way that I did in the days that I did do it, you know, back in the late 80s and early 90s. And, you know, it was a great time to come into animation. And, yeah, so to see people using it and learning from it, from what we do, that makes me super duper happy. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to knock this drawing back. Where is it? There it is. I'm going to knock that back. So that's going to show me where I need to put my darker values. Okay, so you can see I've got something rough here now, but now I want to start working on top and add some darker values.
All right, have you ever done any Tex Avery style drawings?
Yes, well, I worked on Roger Rabbit, not Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but several Roger Rabbit short cartoons, or two. I worked on Roller Coaster Rabbit. You can look them up on YouTube; they're there. Roller Coaster Rabbit and the one out in the woods. Why am I drawing a blank? Roller Coaster Rabbit.
Roller Coaster Rabbit.
And what's wrong with me?
What's wrong with me?
And the one out in the woods, and when they're in the park. I don't know why I'm drawing a complete blank. That's so bizarre.
Okay, now I'm gonna get a headache. I'm trying so hard to remember, but I can't think of it. Trail Mix-Up.
Thank you. Jeez, I was really weird. My brain just went... just completely...
Both of ours.
I know.
Nick Birch, you're our hero. So I got another question here. How exactly does the director work with the storyboard artist?
Well... Usually what we'll do is we'll sit down, we'll discuss, let's say the storyboard artist is getting ready to animate or to board a sequence from the film. What I always did, was we'd sit down with the story artist, we'd give them the pages ahead of time so they could read through them and come up with ideas, because I don't want to just dictate. I want artists to contribute. And then we'll sit down and we'll discuss the reasoning for the particular sequence to be in the film. Why it's there. What is its job? What is it supposed to be doing? And after that, sometimes we'll debate on that and see where it goes from there. But then after that, there we go. Trying to get that just right. Then we'll start discussing business for that sequence. How do we? What's the most entertaining way? Think of it this way: every step in the process of making a film should improve upon the step before it. Okay, so the writing, if you write the script, by the time it gets to the storyboard should improve the script, right? And ideas should percolate up, and so that's the idea that we try to keep when we're doing our films. And so in storyboard, we take the business that's there, and then we see if we can improve upon it. Sometimes just the way you stage something can improve it, but other times it's coming up with better business than what's been written. And so that's another process that we'll go through with the story artist, and then they need time to just process it. And so they'll go away and they'll start processing it and thumbnailing it, just like I'm always a big advocate of thumbnails, and posing it out, and then we'll get together and talk about that again, and eventually it works into a finished set of boards.
Done and done.
And done and done.
Got a new question here from Twitch.
From Twitch.
From Twitch. Have you ever tried the grayscale technique in which you fully paint your illustration in grayscale and then overlay your base color on top of that?
A little bit. I have a little bit. For me, it tends to, and I'm sure it works well for other people, but for the way I work, it tends to gray out my imagery. I have a hard time keeping, because I'm starting in gray. I like to get kind of pure with the color, and that being said, you can see I've got a lot of gray in here. So.
What will be the next animal drawing course be on your website? Dogs, apes?
Well, I've done wolves, and I am going to do a dog one on domestic dogs.
We're currently you're working on the animation course right now.
Yeah, I'm doing a course on acting for animation. That's what, when I was showing you that rabbit.
Right.
That's some of that.
So probably the dog will be.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of requests for birds as well. I might do something with birds. Birds.
Looks like a bird. Should character designers also include environments in their folio?
No. Not if you're a character designer. You don't have to. Or at least in my experience, I've never. Now, you might be submitting to a smaller studio that might need designers that can do a little bit of everything. But usually character designers design characters, and environmental artists do just that. So I think it really depends on the studio you're looking at.
I want to create my own animation. How should I start?
Drawing. Start drawing. Well, it depends. Are you just talking about a shot? Are you talking about a film? Are you talking about, there's a lot of different aspects to what you're talking about. But as far as, if you just want to just try animation, like a shot in animation, then, there's free software out there that you can probably use if you want to do it digitally, or sit down and get a Post-it stack and, draw into Post-its and flip it that way. You can do animation and, really easily. It just depends on how involved that you want to get, If you want to get super involved in it, then you might want to think about, getting an animation desk set up and, researching all of that and everything that goes with it. There we go. But yeah, I mean, you can make it as simple as you want. Like I said, you can animate within a Post-it stack, or on a pad of paper, or you can, buy TV Paint software and install it on your computer and get a Cintiq and animate like that, which is what I do. So it just depends on what it is you're looking to do.
Do you recommend a beginner to directly go into digital or traditional painting? Or
Painting?
Drawing?
I recommend traditional. It might just be me being old school, but I think understanding traditional media will help you down the road when you go to digital media. Now, that being said, my traditional work has completely influenced. Well, this is another reason. Your traditional work will influence your digital work, but at the same time, the work that I've done over the years digitally has evolved my style of traditional work. I'm much more free and exploratory and loose in my approach traditionally, which is really, it feels great.
So if there's one course we should take from you, which one would you recommend?
One course. That's hard to say. It depends. I guess it really depends on what it is that you're looking to do. I think, the character design course I think is really strong because it covers a lot of different things, and it can help you with your animation. Obviously, animation's a big one if you want to learn that. It's hard to say. I'm sorry, it's kind of a cop out, but I like all my courses that I put out, and I want everyone to get something out of them. So it's hard for me to say which one is better than another. There we go. Sorry, I'm trying to get this. I want this shadow to be a little stronger off the eye.
It looks like my camera froze out the game.
Oops.
Dang it.
Why don't you create your own animation studio and pick your viewers to work with you?
Because that's a lot more work than I want to do.
Right.
Yeah. That's way more work than I want to do. I've basically got a little animation studio. And it consists of us. The four of us.
Nick recommends that people start with human anatomy.
Oh, there you go. Yes, it's starting with reality. That's a good recommendation, Nick.
Loose traditionally. Does this mean your live environment sketches in your sketchbook are strictly pen with no pencil to start? Do you learn faster this way, or it feels so out of practice?
Yeah, I've stopped using pencils, really. I don't use pencils that much anymore. I go straight to pen. Sometimes I'll use a pencil if I'm just sitting doodling or something like that, but yeah, I don't use pencils that much anymore, even in my sketchbooks. So I'm getting some nice patterns. I'm going to jump over here in a second and do some lighter areas.
And actually, following up on the sketchbook question, could you show us your sketchbook real quick? Or is it not accessible?
Well, let me see and make sure I don't knock anything over.
I don't want to break anything.
Here's one. I've got more around somewhere. What is this one? This is one that I was in South America. We were in Colombia. Is that showing up?
Yeah, showing up.
I was in Colombia doing some sketching there. That was sitting up on top of the mountain. And this is a sketch of an older lady selling her goods in one of the town squares. We were in Bogota, Colombia. And let's see what else I've got here. Just a random tiger drawing. I was sitting in Colorado and just did a sketch of the countryside. And a really quick sketch at that. Sometimes they're just really quick. This was much more intimate, sitting down, drawing the river as the river went by. So that was kind of cool. This was in Washington. I was at the zoo. Not in Washington, Virginia. I was at the zoo in Virginia. So doing some sketching there. There's a little meerkat.
I like that one.
That meerkat. And this one I like. This was a lion that was asleep.
I forgot about that one.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
The lion was sleeping on the rock, and so that was a good pose. So I got lucky. He wasn't moving around, and so I could get in there and sketch a little more detail. This was at the Smithsonian Institute, the giant, big old bull elephant. And so anyway, I don't want to go through the whole thing. I've got piles of stuff, more from the Smithsonian. But yeah, I'm always drawing, and I think it's important to stay in practice. And try to see what else I've got in here. Oh yeah, here's a couple. I did that just sitting on the airplane. Did this the other day, a couple weeks ago at home.
I like the level of detail in them.
Yeah, this is one of the cougars that we photographed and sketched in Montana. So all kinds of stuff. All kinds of stuff. Meanwhile, let's get back to digital painting.
Meanwhile, back to Aaron Blaise's cave.
So I'm going to do another layer on top. Now I want to start working color within here. So I want to start working opaque. And what I'll do usually is I'll grab the color. You see, I got my ink dropper. I'll grab it, and a lot of times right now I want to hit some highlights within the shadows, some brighter areas within the shadows. So I'm going to push that a little brighter, and put my pressure sensitivity on. You can see I'm creating, and I'm working opaque.
Alright, do you prefer painting in light with straight color, or do you paint in light with blend modes?
Straight color. Well, it depends. I go back and forth between blend modes and straight color. I use both. There we go.
Out of curiosity, what is your originals worth to you? Like, if you sold originals, how much would you charge?
Oh, that's hard to say. I mean, my originals. I haven't sold. I don't really push my originals anymore. But they sell for a pretty good amount of money. It depends on size and medium and all of that. So, a big oil painting might sell for $15,000, where a drawing might sell for $300. So there's a lot of range in between there.
Do you ever take breaks?
Oh, sure. I take breaks all the time. Yes. Yes, I do.
Don't want to stress yourself out too much.
Mm-mm. So once again, I'm creating texture within the shadows over the top of the layers that I've already painted.
Is the sketch layer still visible at this point?
It's there. It's just very faint. I'll turn it on and off so you can see it. There's the sketch layer. It's very, very faint. I like leaving it on because it gives a little more character to the drawing, a little life to it.
It helps darken those little extra details.
Yeah. Yeah, man, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, man.
Here I can get kind of scribbly with it.
Now, what's the current size on the on your Cintiq?
The Cintiq itself is 27 inches.
And is that the current largest Cintiq right now?
Yes, but they are coming out with a 32-inch soon.
You must be excited about that.
Yes, because I'm going to get that.
By the way, where can we buy those felt tip nibs from?
You can order them through Wacom's website. You can go right on Amazon and order them as well.
And how much are they?
I can't remember. They're not very much. I think it's $6 for a pack.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And they usually come in like 20, 30, or...
There's, I think, 5 of them in a pack. I go through maybe one every 2 months, and I draw a lot on my Cintiq, but I don't draw super hard.
So like those 4 or 5 nibs can pretty much last you all year.
Yeah. Yeah. They can.
They can and they will.
And they do. And you'll see that I don't have to put detail everywhere. I'm just going to hit certain areas. We've been at it for an hour. We haven't dropped out. That's good. Yeah. Knock on wood.
Well, we had that one teeny tiny little hiccup earlier.
Thanks, Debbie Downer.
Did you... Did you meet the 9 old men?
Not all 9 of them, but I've met a lot of them. I met Frank and Ollie and Ward. Ken Harris.
Right now, I really want to practice and learn anatomy, but I'm so intimidated by the complexity of it. I really don't know where to start.
Start at the beginning, and that's a real cop-out answer again. But just start, and it's a rabbit hole, and you'll find yourself, getting sucked in deeper and deeper. You just got to start.
Like such as drawing people posing or...
Yeah. And it's one of those things, the more you do it, the more you're going to learn, obviously.
It's kind of like Oscar, my sister, who she's learning how to draw by drawing flowers.
Yeah.
And painting flowers.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'm going to turn this overlay, this light area that I did. Where is it? Yeah, I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to redo that.
You're going to turn it off?
I'm going to turn it off.
Oh, no. Oh, the humanity.
There. So we're starting to get some nice fur texture in him, in his face. But here I'm going to...
Is that the pen textured pen or brush or?
Nope, this is just me drawing.
Just drawing.
Yep, I'm drawing the texture in.
Standard brush.
Standard, the one I always use.
Yeah.
You get some reflected light there within the shadows.
I got a bit of a long question here.
Sure.
For part of an animation portfolio, would you say it would be a good idea to have one page or maybe more of a variety of poses for one specific animal and continue that for other animals on more pages?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it's drawn well, then sure. Yeah. I mean, the whole point of the portfolio is to show your abilities. So as long as it's showing your abilities, then yeah.
Are you planning on making tutorials on your website about 3D animation?
Yes, we will. Mainly but the animation that I'm teaching on my website now, it's not 3D or 2D specific. It's principles. So even though I'm, like the course I'm working on now, or I'm talking about acting for animation, the same principles will be able to apply toward 3D as well.
That's right. Every time I hear 3D animation, I keep thinking of 3D depth,
Yeah.
not like CGI animation.
Yeah.
Are you getting the lighting from a reference? What resources would you recommend to get better at lighting?
Life. Get out and draw from life. Right now, I'm just doing this out of my head because I've done a lot of observation from life. Lighting is one of those things. Once you start understanding the logic of it, you can start doing it out of your head.
Are there any animation studio preferences for influence and inspiration outside of Disney?
For me,
For other people, like other studios to look for outside of Disney.
oh sure. I mean, there's lots of studios, lots of them. As far as there's 2D, and there's 3D studios.
How many drawings do you make per day?
Oh, that's a hard question. I don't know.
It could be 1 to 1,000.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my drawing layer, right here. I'm going to get rid of. I want his chin to be nice and white.
You also have interest in photography, right? If so, what
I
kind
do.
of camera do you use?
I use a right here. Where is it? Oh, I moved it. It's a Canon 7D.
Un momento, por favor.
That's okay. I don't have to grab it.
I'm already up.
It's a 7D.
Yep.
Oops, that's not what I want. Shoot. Where am I? There we are.
You want to fold that?
Yeah, so it's my Canon. My airline tickets. This is my 7D, Canon 7D. It's great. Works great. I love it. It's been all over the world with me. And
How old is that camera?
probably about 8 years old.
Yeah, I've actually been thinking of investing into one myself in the future.
Yeah, something you should do. Good camera's good to have. All right. So here I'm just trying to get a little bit of rim lighting happening, which I'm not quite digging right now. I'm going to get rid of that. I got to get a little looser. I'm tightening up a little bit too much, but let me get in here. I'm going to start getting in there. Maybe get a little detail in the eyes. Whoops. There we go.
Can I paint, say, a statue and still call it original art? Especially if I want to sell it. Some say that what I bring to is what it makes it original. Others say you can't get sued.
Well, if you're painting a statue, I don't like that. That's hard to say because you're doing a painting of something that's three-dimensional, so you're not really stealing that. I've seen plenty of paintings of David that are, I think I consider original pieces of art. So it's a hard call. I don't know.
I mean, like if you try drawing and painting exact replica of Mona Lisa,
Yeah,
or
but
something like that, then
yeah, you don't want to do that.
yeah.
All right, let's just get in here now. I gotta get real here. Let's.
Gotta get real. Any tips for shading?
Once again, shading is lighting, right? So look at life.
Like see how the light bounces off the surfaces. And
Yeah, you just got to get out there and see how light behaves. I'm making this up. I'm making up the lighting, but I've looked at enough lighting that I know what it's supposed to do. I know, like, he's gonna have little scars and textures on his skin that are gonna pick up little bits of light.
So how are you keeping track of your layers in Photoshop? Do you keep lights and shadows on separate layers, or create a new layer each time you draw a certain part of a painting?
I keep them on separate layers. Normally, I should label, and I'm not labeling because I'm just kind of flying through it today. But a lot of times I'll label. And you'll notice too that I jump everywhere. I jump all over the place.
What stuff do you like to have at your workstation?
Oh, I'm not one of those guys that has all different kinds of stuff. Skulls, death.
Death. It's a wonderful room of death.
This is wonderful. This is a lovely room of death.
Love that movie.
But yeah, I love maps. I know that sounds weird. I used to keep a lot of maps at my desk of places I wanted to go in the world. That was always my inspiration. It was my goal. I always kept a map of Africa, the continent of Africa, in my office.
And I have all the art books and everything shelved next to you, but did you have any of them as like references, like sitting right next to your desk?
Sometimes. Sometimes. A lot of times I'd keep the Illusion of Life, my animation book, The Illusion of Life. I'd keep that, on my desk.
Did you have any of those books at your animation desk in Disney when you were working there?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, I did, young man.
Has art and drawing ever consumed you to a point where you found it unhealthy?
No. No, I've never let it do that. It's always been my therapy. It's always been my escape, to a healthy degree. But family, friends, they're all very important to me as well, as any of you know, if you know me. And I never let my art be more important than in my family or my friends.
Did you ever find yourself daydreaming at any point of your life about working for Disney before all of this?
I never did. I never ever anticipated working for Disney. I fell into working for Disney. I needed a job. I wanted to work for National Geographic. That was my big goal. I wanted to do this kind of stuff, what I'm doing right now for you guys. Illustration work. I went to school I majored in illustration, and that's what I wanted to be for National Geographic. And when I found out they only freelanced, and I didn't want to freelance anymore, I had freelanced my way through school, and I just wanted a nice staff position somewhere. I found out that Disney was coming to interview. And so that's the first time I ever thought, oh, that's kind of interesting. And I thought maybe I'd be a background painter. And I interviewed, and I was matched up. I got the internship, and I was matched up with Glenn Keane, who's one of the great contemporary animators today. And it was Glenn that, as soon as I sat in his office and I could see what he was doing as an animator. And he started out as an illustrator as well, so he and I had similar backgrounds, and so I found him inspiring in that way. But I also, the passion that he showed for animation and what the possibilities that I saw through his work in animation, that just set it off for me. And I never looked back. ever again, and that was 30 years ago.
Do you have any of those little statues of the character models made on movies?
Maquettes.
Maquettes.
I have a whole bunch of maquettes. Can you grab that maquette right there?
Of Nala?
Nala, yeah.
I'm trying to be careful.
Here's a maquette that a friend of mine did of Nala. But I've got every single one of them. I've got Rajah from Aladdin because I did Rajah. Here's Nala from The Lion King because I did Nala. But I've also got all of them from Brother Bear. So I've got quite a few maquettes. And there is a junk phone call.
Those are so annoying.
So yeah, it's just creating. I'm going to go into my second layer of drawing. There it is. And I'm going to erase that back as well.
Did you ever have difficulties working on a group project? If so, what did you do?
Every project I've ever worked on was a group project. When you make an animated movie, you're on that's a group project. It's the biggest group project you'll ever be on. You know, we've had upwards of 400 people working on a single film, and you do your part.
And it's a team effort as well. Like if somebody struggles, you help them out.
You help them out, exactly. The ones that can't work in a group will go away very fast at an animation studio. You've got to work in a group.
I remember when I was working as a depth artist, there was one new guy that was there for like 2 weeks. He was struggling with one shot, and I came up to him and asked, "Do you need help? I think I have a solution that could help you out." And he looked at me and said, "If I have any trouble, I'll ask my lead, okay?" Okay. A week later, he got let go.
You got him fired, didn't you?
No, I didn't. He did it all on his own. I was asking if he needed help.
I know. Because you're a nice guy.
I know, right? It's weird.
It's effing genius.
Freaking genius.
So you'll see I'm working very subtle value changes to get some textures in here.
How old were you when you first decided you wanted to be an animator?
I was 20 years old. 20 years old. And now I'm 50. So figure it out. So figure it out.
My God, you've got them fat.
Yes. I'm 50.
50.
The textures, I'm having a good time building up these textures.
Yeah,
Just wanted to say that.
They're looking nice. They're looking sexy.
Nice, eh? Nice.
Do you usually choose specific color schemes for the whole painting first, and then stick with it through the process?
I don't pick a color scheme as much as I have it kind of in my head where I want it to go. It always evolves though, and it never ends up the way I thought it was going to end up.
Was going through.
But I usually get it to a place that I'm happy with. I don't give up on it until I'm happy with it. Go ahead, Dustin. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry, Dustin.
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, darn it. Was going through some of those old making of videos. Was it weird filming those minutes, and how long would they take?
No, it wasn't weird. We got pretty used to doing those, and sometimes they would take a day, sometimes they'd take 5 minutes.
Talking about all the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about.
I like the one that recently got. I forgot who posted it, but the one of you on Lion King.
Oh, my voice has changed.
It's gotten deeper.
Yes,
Yes,
I've become
it
much
is.
more of a man.
do you know what are the proportions when drawing?
I'm a big proponent, a big advocate of if it looks right, it is right. And that's really, a lot of people will go by, head, how many heads high or how many body lengths or this or that. And I never ever think that way. I never approach any drawing that way. I really go with, okay, does it look right? Okay, then it is right. And that works for me.
Is there a DOP in your crew?
Director of photography? No.
Do you suggest a course to understand where the camera should be during animations?
Say that again?
Do you suggest a course to understand where the camera should be during animations?
Well, that's layout, and so any layout course. I don't have a layout course yet, although we're hopefully gonna get to one. But if you can find a good layout course, then that's what it is that you're gonna want.
Do you feel you got a lot out of getting a degree in art?
What I got by going to college, what I got was the camaraderie of working with other like-minded people. It was the first time, I went to college out of high school. And so when you go to art school, it's the first time that when you're in high school as an artist, you're kind of the odd guy. You're the odd one out because you're the one that, everyone's getting you to draw something and you're drawing stuff for your teacher, but you're the odd one out. When you go to art school, now you're with your own kind. And so there was something to be said about being with other artists and growing in that way, seeing the way other people approach, for the first time in my life, approach whatever art they might be doing. And so I have found that wonderful. Now, do you need to do it now? I think there's a lot of debate on that. I think there's a lot of information you can get online now, that you can get and courses. My website is a perfect example of that. I mean, I think we try very hard to be a supplement for art school, but we've been told by a lot of artists that they're using it instead of going to art school and they're happy. So that wasn't our goal, but I'm glad that people are getting stuff out of it. So it depends.
I got a question here from Twitch.
Hey Twitch.
Hey Twitch, how you doing? Hey Twitch, how's it going?
Say hi to your mother for me.
Now I'm going to talk to a donkey.
Hey donkey.
Hey donkey, how's it going? I had a beard like that in Perfect Storm. You ever see that movie? All right. Say hi to your mom for me, okay? Would you consider drawing a robotic character in a challenge video of sorts in which you intentionally put yourself out of your comfort zone?
Sure. I'd say I like that idea because whoever's asking this question knows that robots are not my comfort zone. I like that idea.
Robot drawings from high school. They look pretty cool.
Yeah, it's not my comfort zone.
Right.
Hey, I appreciate that, man. That was nice. That was nice of you to say that.
I was just saying my opinion.
There we go.
What do you used to do to study animation when you were first starting out?
I really just picked the brains of every animator that was experienced that I could. Mark Henn was another guy that I was a great animator, very fast, prolific animator. I really admired the way he approached his work and how dedicated he was. I mean, he did more footage, more animation than any other animator in the studio, and maybe that's ever been at the studio. And it's because he was so dedicated, and so I took a lot of influence from that. And Glenn was a big influence on me. Mark Kausler, who was I was the assistant. I was his assistant when I first started in animation. After I graduated from my internship with Glenn Keane, Mark Kausler was the guy I was assigned to, and he was very much a very broad, Roger Rabbit, Tex Avery type animation. And I learned a lot from him as far as that goes, and how much fun animation can be. So, I pulled a lot from everybody.
I'm almost 48 years old. Do you feel there are unique obstacles for artists who start late in life? And any careers that are closed off to older noobs?
I don't think so. For me, it's hard to say because I've been drawing all my life. So to put myself in that position, it's hard for me, quite honestly. But I don't think as long as you're good, as long as you can do the work that needs to be done, then people are going to hire you, no matter how old or young you are.
Mark Kent animated Simba, right?
Yes. One of the greatest scenes ever. I remember watching it in pencil test and bawling my eyes out. It's like, Dad, wake up. Wake up, Dad. We gotta go. Dad, come on. We gotta go. Simba waking up Mufasa. Right? Oh, yeah. And it was just pencil test. Somebody help! Help! Anybody.
What did you used to study animation when you were starting out?
Books and people. I worked at Disney Animation. I worked at the best animation studio in the world, so I had all of the access right there to help me out. I'm going to try something now. I'm going to go a little blue. Do a different layer just in case this doesn't look right. Very subtle.
What did you used to study animation when you were starting out?
You do that to me every time.
Because it's funny.
That's a little harsh. There we go.
Were there many long nights when working in a group for a project?
Oh yes, yeah. Every project we worked on, whether it was Aladdin, Beauty and the Beast, The Lion King, Mulan, we had lots of late nights.
Like, what was the latest you stayed at? Because I remember the paint department in the company I was part of.
I remember working until 3 or 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
But we didn't do that very often. And I knew guys that would just sleep at the studio.
Like, have their own little blankets and pillows on
Yeah.
their desks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the paint department that of the company I worked in, like, there's a few times where they would stay up that late.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
In fact, my friend who I ended up being my roommate up in Toronto, like we
Tirana?
knew each other.
Tirana.
We knew each other since you and I worked together in Florida.
Yeah.
But he had one day where he worked throughout the day, throughout the night, and all the way through the next day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Non-stop.
That's crazy. I wouldn't allow that, actually. I would never allow that if that was my studio.
Yeah, when the leads found that out, they were like, dude, go home.
Yeah.
because he was he had to get a shot in by the end of that night.
Yeah, that's insane. No cartoon or movie is worth your health like that at all. That's crazy. Crazy talk, man.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Did you ever feel demotivated or that you're just not good or interesting enough as an artist? And how did you pass through it, if so?
Oh, no, I've always thought I was great. We all go through that.
Kind of a big deal.
No, we all go through that. And a lot of the times it just comes from comparing yourself to other people, which is, you should never do. Or you're going through a bout of not being motivated, not being inspired, which can be depressing sometimes. But you just gotta trust time. Time has a way of fixing all of that, and you just work through it.
So do you think it's a good idea to practice character design alongside practicing real anatomy?
Yeah, yeah, because then you'll be able to see how the one relates to the other. Absolutely, positively.
When they brought animals in for reference, how long did you guys get to study them?
A few hours at a time. I mean, they would do several sessions, so it was we would get a few hours each session.
Twitch question.
Sure.
When working on a studio, when do you know the animation is done and it is time to hand it over to the next person? I mean, an assistant animator or an in-betweener?
Basically, it depends. I mean, every guy was different. Some guys wanted all control, and they wouldn't hand it over until it was almost all completely done, which is crazy. It's when all the key information is down. It's hard to explain it other than that. Once you get all that key information down, that needs to be in for every other artist that is going to be following you up, then you're done.
Another question. I've really enjoyed your TV paint tutorials. Any plans to do more?
Yes, I think we will eventually. And my brother is really good. Travis Blaise. He's really good with TV paint, and he might do a little bit of TV paint tutorials for us as well.
Will you be doing more videos with Proco again?
Yes, we don't have anything planned, but the last time Proco and I talked, we definitely said yes. Let's do it again. We just haven't planned anything yet. We each year we're in California at least once a year for the CTN animation convention in Burbank, California, and so while we're there, we might try to get together with them again.
Weren't there also plans to bring them to get them down here
Yes.
to Florida?
Yep.
It's just still up in the air right now.
Yeah, it's just up in the air. There we go. So I'm pushing my darks right now, trying to get some noise. Wow.
You okay?
I had a seizure. Trying to get some nice shapes.
There you go. Just take it slow.
Take it slow.
Just tap it in. Just give it a little tap in.
Is that Adam Sandler?
Yeah.
There we go. Pushing a few little dark areas here.
How many animators do movies use on average?
On average, we would get up to about 45 to 50 animators when we're hitting our peak. Now, keep in mind, that's just animators. When we were doing hand-drawn animation on paper, every animator had a follow-up artist and assistant, and there's 45 or 50 animators, but there might be 400 people on the crew in different disciplines.
Will you be at SIGGRAPH next week?
No. Where is SIGGRAPH? I'm assuming it's probably in Vancouver.
Maybe?
I don't know.
I have no idea.
There's a lot of different SIGGRAPHs around the world. I've been to SIGGRAPH in Santiago, Chile. I've been to SIGGRAPH in Los Angeles.
Nick says that SIGGRAPH moves.
It does move. That's why I don't know where it's at. I'm going to try my classic. I'm going to try this. This is my classic thing, but I always add a shadow. I'm going to try a shadow kind of coming across here. See what that looks like.
The main SIGGRAPH moves, and Nick says we will be going there at some point.
Yes, we will.
And another person replied about that question says that it is in Vancouver.
Oh, I was right.
What's your opinion on the new Jungle Book movies?
Well, if you're talking about Disney's Jungle Book, I liked it. I loved it, actually. And I'm really excited to see what they do with The Lion King. If you're talking about the new one from Warner Brothers, which is called Mowgli, I'm really interested in that one because I actually worked on it.
And that one's going straight to Netflix.
Netflix, yes. But I worked on that one. I kind of like this shadow. What do you think, Dustin?
Which shadow?
The shadow coming across here that I just added. Do you like that? I kind of like it. I don't care what you say. I like it. I'm gonna bring it up in here just a hair.
I was thinking it needs a bit more of a gradient fade because that line feels a bit
Too harsh?
a bit hard, like harsher. Yeah.
I want it to be a little bit hard, like it's a close object. Maybe like that.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go a little darker with it.
Could you please explain the difference between dark value and dark color?
Dark value strictly refers to light and dark. That's it. A value is just light and dark. That's all it is. This, if right here is a light value. Right here is a dark value. Dark color refers to just that. It's the chroma. Chroma is color. So this is a dark brown. And that color you can say that color is a dark value. So you can use it in that way. If that makes sense, I hope that makes sense for you. Maybe, maybe not.
Completely unrelated, but do you go to the movies often? If so, what was the last one you watched?
I don't go to the movies that often. I try to. The last movie I saw in the theater. Oh, Mission Impossible. Loved it.
You saw it?
Saw it. Yep. Yep.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yep. It was awesome.
Yeah, the last movie I saw in theaters was Avengers: Infinity War with Austin's boyfriend Chad.
My son-in-law.
Your son-in-law. It was one of those endings where we're just both like,
What?
What happened? we were speechless.
You cried.
I didn't cry. I was just speechless. Like, what's going to happen?
There we go. So I'm pushing right now. When I get to this stage, I start to play with value a little bit more, meaning light and dark. Some areas I'll, like this ear, I might just leave it the way it is. I think actually it needs a little bit of work. So I'm going to work on that a little bit.
How did they get you to work on Mowgli?
They contacted me, and because my animal work, and I did design work for Baloo and Bagheera. Drawing some negative spaces in here, and I freelanced. So I just worked out of my home, and Andy Serkis is the director, so I worked with him, and we would talk about what he's looking for, just in the same way that I would do it when I was directing, which is kind of fun. It's fun having had this experience as a director, and then I like getting on the other side again, and working in that way.
Well, Nick says to mention that we will have prints of this image available on August 10th.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Good call, Nick. We are going to have prints available. August 10th is Lion Day, National or International Lion Day. That's the whole reason I'm doing this image. And we will have prints available, and we will be donating a certain amount of our proceeds towards lion conservation.
And what's the website that's going to be on?
CreatureArtTeacher.com.
Oh, bam.
It's .com.
It's .com. Homestar10.net.
It's .com. So yeah, and once again, if you want to go to my website, CreatureArtTeacher.com, I've got all kinds of stuff on there for as far as lessons, animation, animal drawing, what have you. So now I want to go back to let's see, I want to get some of this fur working a little bit. I want to blend it into here a little bit more because the fur from the cheek on a lion tends to get longer right in here.
You're also doing an illustrated book for the live-action Lion King film, right?
No, that fell through. So what happened with that was we were all set to go on it, and then the content that they wanted, originally they wanted me to do, or at least it was expressed to me in the way I took it, they wanted me to illustrate the Lion King, and they wanted big dramatic, in the way that I illustrate, kind of big dramatic imagery. And then it turned out that it was more of a children's book that they decided to do, where they wanted bright colors, and the story itself was younger, and so it wasn't really up my alley, and so we mutually agreed that, hey, maybe I'm not going to do that, and so I left. But I'm very positive that it's going to be really cool what they end up with. There we go. So now I want to get some nice.
Have you seen The Thief and the Cobbler?
Yes, I've seen it before it was done by Warner Brothers. I saw it when Richard Williams still had it. It was amazing. It's too bad he didn't get to finish it.
So what's the difference between dark and light in art? And is there a name for different types of shades?
Well, there's chroma, which is color. There's value, which is light and dark. There's hue, which is the strength of color. These are all different terms that talk about, obviously, color and value, color and light and dark. Trying to figure out if I'm answering the question. It's a broad question. That's a broad question, young man.
Very broad.
So you can see, these little details, these light areas, I try to be very sparing with it, light over dark, because that's where your eye is going to go. And it builds up depth.
I've always been amazed on how the animators could time out your pencil tests, make charts confidently, and hand them over to in-betweeners. Were there times you should correct the charts or the timing of a scene after it's already in between?
Absolutely. There is always something along the way where you go, oop, I shouldn't have done it that way. It happened a lot. I shouldn't say it didn't happen a lot. It happened, though. And, you just chalk it up to experience. And then the next time well, I'm not going to do that again.
Have you ever pitched an idea to Disney?
Yeah. I've pitched several ideas. Brother Bear was our idea. It started out, Disney was making a movie about bears, and they wanted to do that, but we didn't like the story they were making. And so we rewrote it, came up with our own version, repitched that, and that's the movie that got made. Well, somewhat, because the movie evolved over time. But we've also, there's another movie called King of the Elves that I was making at Disney that it never got finished because I ended up leaving Disney beforehand, before it got finished. But that one I pitched and they took as well.
While working on The Lion King, did you get to meet Hans Zimmer?
I did not get to meet Hans Zimmer. No. I would have liked to. I'm a big fan. I'm a big old fan.
He makes some amazing music.
Yes, he does. The man's a genius. I'm going to do a little gradient. Multiply. Gradient. Gradient. Gradient.
Do you have any advice on the balance between epic and non-kid related works and cartoony works?
I'm not sure I'm not sure I understand the question. Ask me that again.
Do you have any advice on the balance between epic non-kid related works and cartoony works? So basically, like
the balance,
like the balance between like trying to get the epicness of one side, but yet still have that that side that's suitable for kids.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a tough question. I'm not sure I understand it as much. Whoops.
Honestly, I think you answered it like way at the beginning of the live stream about the being able to make a movie that is for a wider audience.
Yeah.
That,
I see what you're
tell the
saying.
story, but not make it like a kids movie, but
Yeah.
something that everyone can enjoy. Like trying to get that kind of a balance.
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm lost.
We'll just go to the other.
Yeah, sorry. I was actually trying to work on the drawing on the painting here, and I lost myself.
How many layers do you have right now?
Too many. A lot.
Simple enough.
Right there.
Too many.
You can see it on the right side of the screen. Oh, actually, you probably can't see me.
I just switched it. But yeah, there's so many layers. There's even a scroll for the amount of layers right now.
Yeah, let's see here. I want to do this.
It's just ridiculous.
Bum, bum, bum.
Is there an animal that you find really difficult to illustrate?
What the heck just happened? What is going on? I see what I did. I got the wrong thing.
What'd you do?
I hit the wrong button. There we go.
You're working on the right layer, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Just want to get some warmth in here and maybe a little darker.
But is there an animal that you find really difficult to illustrate?
Mm-mm. No. I mean, once you understand an animal's anatomy, then it's easy after that. So there is no I shouldn't say they're all hard. Everything's difficult. I'll use my dry brush for a little bit here. But there we go. But you just got to put the time in, the work, and then you can overcome that.
Do you use the smudge tool?
Yes, I'm actually about to use it. I'm going to use it in just a minute.
Speaking of.
Yeah. So I've got this dry brush that I like.
As an animator working for Disney, when you create an original character, does Disney own all of the rights, or do you get to own some of the rights sometimes?
Disney owns all the rights, baby.
All of it.
Oh yeah.
What do you guys think of Incredibles 2? I have not seen it.
I never saw it.
You never saw it either?
No.
Wow, I was expecting you to see it.
I know, and I wanted to. I just never did.
Wow.
I know. I'm an idiot.
We both are, because I haven't seen it yet either. And it's not in the theaters anymore, right?
No.
Yep, I'm gonna have to add that to the wish list along with Deadpool 2 and Infinity War. I know Infinity War's out, but I haven't gotten that in my inventory yet. I'd love to see you do more sketching of leopards.
Okay. So here I'm just adding a little bit of texture. There. Oh, let's turn on. That's the wrong one. That's the wrong one. That's the right one. We're getting there.
Almost there.
Almost there. Almost there. Let me come down here. All right, let me do this. I got to go to shape dynamics.
Are you
Shape
planning?
dynamics. Sorry, Dustin. Hold on. Let me go to shape dynamics. Direction. There we go. Good. Okay, what now?
Are you planning to do some watercolor painting in one of your next live streams?
Yes. Actually, I was planning on doing that today, but I had forgotten about World Lion Day, and so we decided to change it up. But next week, probably, I will be doing some watercolor.
Nick reminded you, didn't he?
Nick. Nickelodeon.
Or in this case, Nick Birch. I don't know where I was going with that, but... Do you record yourself acting while animating a scene?
Yes. I do sometimes. So here I'm just adding a little bit of texture because this is my world. I can do what I want here.
And it's a very small world after all.
This is your universe.
Make a happy tree.
I'm making a happy tree. Making happy lion lips. That got a little repetitive right there. I don't want that. Repetitive shapes.
When you draw and sell artwork of characters that you worked on in a Disney film, do you have to pay them a percentage of your profit, or do you have permission to do so?
I don't do it. I only sell my own stuff. So normally Disney doesn't allow that anyway. But some people get away with it.
What do you think of Pete Docter?
Pete Docter is one of the nicest men you'll ever meet in your life. He's an incredibly talented director. He's a very nice man. I think he's great, and I think Pixar is in a good place being led by him.
What is the DPI of this piece, and which is the best resolution to avoid losing details and quality?
This is 300 DPI, and I do everything at 300 DPI.
And how big and how much storage space does it take?
This one, I don't know, it's probably about 300 megabytes. Talking about how big is the file? Is that what you meant, Dustin?
I think so, yeah. Sorry, I was browsing for more questions. So do you have a tablet that you freehand draw on?
Yeah, it's called a drawing pad. I do occasionally. I've got a iPad Pro.
Stare. Well, currently you're working on your Cintiq.
Yes.
And what size is that again? I keep forgetting.
27-inch.
27-inch.
Yep. So that's feeling pretty good so far. I want to get something happening down here.
And all that oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
So all that translates onto the screen using the pen onto the tablet or to the screen. Like, somebody here doesn't quite understand how the Cintiq.
Oh yeah, go switch the camera.
Switch.
Yeah. So I draw directly right on the screen, just like this. For those of you that don't know how this works, because I certainly didn't when I first got this. But you can see, I just draw right on, and there we go. It's a great tool.
And it's made by Wacom.
Made by Wacom.
Are there any other companies that make screens like that, or is it just?
Yes,
Wacom?
there are other companies. The only company I've ever used is Wacom. I know there's alternatives out there that people recommend. I don't have any to recommend because I've always used Wacom and I love it. I find their products to be absolutely awesome. And so, as far as that goes, I'm not a good one to ask because I always get people asking me what alternatives are there, cheaper tablets, and I just don't know because I've never used them. I'm trying to go a little bit looser down here now.
So you got that Bob Ross kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna go a little bit looser, just a little bit looser. I'm gonna get I'm gonna grab a little brown right there. Just gonna go a little light. There we go. Look at that. You can go as light as you want because this is your universe. Put a little happy little light right there.
There we go.
There we go. There we go. Gonna have a happy light there. There we go.
It's for like every 15 minutes. There we go. I feel like there needs to be some sort of a game of some sort with that, or anytime you say "there we go."
Yeah.
There we go.
There we go. Oh, it'd be good. It'd be really good at this point.
What?
Saving it.
That would be a good idea.
Oh, I've already got it saved, but not this version. Save. Cancel. Cancel. I'm just going to do this. There we go.
Can we have a quick look at your reference on the screen above for the newcomers?
Yeah. So this is one of my pieces of reference. This is my sketch, the original sketch, right there. And then I also had just for color, this is my reference here of a lion that I photographed, in Africa. And so I'm using that as color reference right there. And that's it. That's all I'm using. The rest is out of my head.
Did you travel to Africa with the animation crew while working on Lion King?
I did not. I did not rank enough. No, I didn't go. All right, so I'm gonna hit the finishing touches now. So one thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to do this. I'm gonna turn World Lion Day off, and I'm going to take all these guys. First, I want to copy that. I'm going to take all these guys, and I'm going to, let's see here, sorry guys. I'm going to create a big folder. There we go. I'm going to duplicate that folder. Turn this one off, and I'm going to layer, I'm going to merge, group, So now that's all one layer. I've got the other one saved, but there's all one layer right there, just like that.
You put them on one big party.
One big party. So now I'm going to go to my smudge tool, and there's a couple of different things I'm going to do. Right now I'm going to keep my smudge tool the way I've got it. And you'll see I can go in and create little hair effects. But I don't want to do that all over. I actually want to soften some edges. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go to, I have this brush. It's actually a foliage brush. This one right here. It makes grass. But I discovered that when I use it for softening edges with my smudge tool, it works really well. And I recommend, you know, you can see what it's doing. It just kind of softens. I really recommend experimenting with different brushes with your smudge tool if you're doing digital painting. So I want to lose some of these edges here. Yeah, go ahead, Dustin.
Do you rest your hand on the screen when drawing?
I do. That I do.
That you do.
So I'm going through and softening his chin a touch.
Aaron, you do Bob Ross better than Bob Ross.
Yeah, baby. That's what I want to hear. I want to be the Bob Ross for the 2000s. I love Bob Ross.
So where did you go in Africa?
I went to Kenya and Tanzania. I've gone twice. I went to the Masai Mara. I went to Samburu National Park. I went to Tarangire National Park. Went to Lewa Downs Refuge, which is a rhino refuge. There. So you can see when I soften, you know, I do it tastefully. It just kind of pulls things together a little bit. I don't like hard edges. It unifies the painting to a degree for me. I like having some of that dry brush effect though. I'm going to leave that.
Do you have internship opportunities for students to work with you over the summer, or is that not something you do?
It's not something we do right now. We are talking about doing something like that in the future. So be patient with us. But right now, it's not something we do.
We're still growing slowly but surely.
Yes. So there we go. So you can see in a matter of, how long have we been at this? 2 hours.
2 hours is
So we
currently
did
3:06.
Yeah, we did the painting in 2 hours, which is kind of cool. I want to add a little bit of texture to this too, as well. Not sure I'm not digging this. That tuft of fur. I'm not digging it at all.
At all.
At all. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to grab a brush, my dry brush.
Have you ever planned to have your own studio with a crew of animators?
No. It's just too much. It's more work than I want to get into.
How can you talk and draw at the same time?
It's not easy, and half the time I don't. Half the time I fail.
At the time you're talking away, then all of a
So
sudden
I just kind of drift off and talking. There. Just talking.
like you're talking
Talking,
about
there, talking.
What they realize? Wait a minute, why am I painting in purple?
So this is actually affording me the opportunity to kind of get in here and create some nice texture down in here.
Will you add an iris or pupil to the eye, or is it not visible in that perspective?
I don't think it's visible in this perspective. Well, I've been struggling with that a little bit, actually, to be honest with you. Thank you for bringing that up. Just kidding. There we go.
No, why did you leave Disney?
I left Disney for several reasons. It's a very personal journey that I've taken. Some of you know the story. Um, but about 2 years before I left Disney, my wife Karen passed away from breast cancer, and I was pretty devastated. And I was directing a movie at the time called King of the Elves, and I just was having a hard time adjusting to life, and you know, I'd been together for 20 years. We had been together for 20 years, married for 18, and it just I just I couldn't get my mojo back. I was having a hard time. I knew I was going to have to make a change at some point, and eventually John Lasseter decided to take me off the film I was working on because it just wasn't working out. I wasn't performing, and he made the right decision. And so after that, once I got pulled off the movie, that's when I realized I needed to make a major change in my life. And I'd been at Disney for 21 years. And so in that moment, I was pulled off the movie. That's when I said, well, I think I quit. And so I left. I left Disney, and I just completely started over and redefined my life, and here I am.
And originally, they wanted to put you in a different department.
Yeah, I was going to go into visual development, and but I wouldn't be directing anymore. And I love directing, and I just thought, you know what, I'm not going to be here just to have a paycheck. And the other thing too is I needed to make a change in my life. I really needed to find myself again and redefine who I was, and you guys too. I mean, Dustin and you and your sister, I kind of lost you guys through all that, with Mom and how we all dealt with it, and so it was time to kind of come out of the funk and start over. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And we ended up working for Digital Domain.
Yeah, which completely crashed in flames, but
it was fun while it lasted.
It was fun while it lasted, and it helped us kind of do some things that we wouldn't have otherwise done. There we go.
I like the idea of, because you started off at the as the director for the animation department, and you ended up helping me get my foot in the door in the 3D depth department, and I loved having that job in that building because we were able to see each other during breaks and lunch.
Yeah.
And anytime I finished a new shot, I would always invite you down to see what I'm working on. I'll go up to your place to see what you're working on. And
yeah, it was fun.
We ended up having more quality time together there. It was fun.
Yeah. There we go. I'm kind of liking that. I want to get a little bit of texture in here. Let's try just a little bit of bump. Just a little dot. Let's see here. Maybe a little dust in the air.
Dust in the air?
Dust in the air.
Do you have any tips for people who are just learning digital painting? I'm trying to learn how to do backgrounds in fur, but it looks like a child smudged random color everywhere.
You just got to keep at it. You'll get the hang of it. It's, I really recommend if you can do it traditionally, then you'll be able to do it digitally. So try to work traditionally. Try to learn some of this stuff. How would you do it traditionally, and then try to apply that to your digital work. This is a long stream, I know, but I want to finish this in front of you guys.
Kind of a perfectionist.
Yeah. There's one more thing I can try, and I'm just going to do it very loosely first and see what it looks like. I want to see.
What was your favorite moment working at Digital Domain?
My favorite moment working at Digital Domain?
Yeah.
I don't know that I had a favorite moment as much as I had favorite people, and I mean the people were awesome, and we had a great life. It was, you know, being able to come back to Florida and work, and you know, I lived on the water, which is fantastic, and we were out, you know, diving all the time, and you know that I loved that. What do you think of this? Just a little design element there. Just a little bit of grass, just a touch.
Just a touch.
Just a touch.
Just a touch of grass. Just right there.
I kind of like it.
Do you have any advice on how to draw clean lines with a pen tablet?
You need the right brush. That'll help. And it's, yeah, it just takes practice. There we go. There we go. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
Nick likes that.
Nick's like this?
Yeah.
He likes this grass.
He approves. There's a lot of grass in this lift. Scotland. Voice recognition technology.
And a lift.
In Scotland.
There we go. So now what I'll do, that's got a little too bright. I pushed those values a little too bright. So I'm gonna soften it. Just soften some of these edges. Especially on the fur ends.
Why did you pick that color for the background? Because it's complementary to the yellows of the line, or will you?
I wanted a cool green, because that's pretty much the environment. I wanted the background definitely to be cool in temperature, to contrast the warmth that I was going to have in the lion. And I wanted it to be somewhat muted because I wanted the lion to be more pure. So he would pop. There we go. There, I think that feels pretty good. Let's turn on our World Lion Day. Where was it? No, that wasn't it. That's it right there. World Lion Day. And there's one last thing to do here. I kind of like that. What do you think, Dustin?
Me like it.
Good. I'm going to turn this off, and I'm going to combine this. There we are. Layer, merge, layer, merge layers. All right, now I'm going to just, because I don't do, oh, what's it called? I can't remember. Anyway, I forget what I was going to say. But when I do, if I don't want to, if I want to experiment, I'll repeat something. I'll duplicate the layer, and I'll work on the duplicate. There we go. Let's see here. So I'm going to go to my brush, airbrush. I'm going to drop my opacity way down to about 9%. I'm going to go to color dodge. I'll make this super warm and super bright. I'm going to go large and knock that back. And here we go. I'm going to heat up. I'm going to burn in some of these areas. Really get that sunlight to sing.
Can you say if you prefer painting or animating or drawing?
That's tough. Obviously, you guys, if you know me, you know I like them all. That's a tough one. Because they're all such great outlets. There we go.
Do you sign all your pieces?
I do.
Every single one of them?
As many as I can. I try to remember to.
How do you get rid of outlines?
I paint over them. Just paint right over them. Or I just turn them off. There. Let's see. Is that too much? Do you think that's too much?
Or the light?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's too much. I'm going to get rid of that. Let's do it again. I don't think it needs that much.
You probably could have lowered the
opacity
of that light.
Yeah, I know. You're such a smart guy.
I try. Kind of a big deal, you know.
I mean, not that big, but
yeah, but yeah.
yeah. Well, will you raffle this to any of your watchers?
Well, it's a digital piece, so I don't know how I would raffle it. How would I raffle it? Dustin? I guess I could raffle the I don't know.
The file?
Or a print, I guess. Maybe they mean a print.
Probably like a specially framed print with a physical signature on it or something.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
I'm sure we
I think we're done.
I
I think we're there.
think we're there?
I think.
Yes? Maybe? No? All the above?
There it is. Let me turn on World Lion Day. There it is. World Lion Day, 2018.
Don't forget to sign it.
Yeah, I'm just looking here. I feel like we're done.
It looks good.
I'm kind of digging it. You like it?
Yeah, I approve.
You approve?
I approve.
Oh, I know what I want to do. Not done yet.
Somebody complimented saying that I love that you and your son work together.
Me too.
Me 3. I think of all the jobs I've had, this one's my favorite.
Good. I'm glad.
It's funny is that whenever I tell people that I work for, like, I just tell them, like, yeah, my dad's my boss. Like, isn't that scary? I'm like, no. It's actually a lot of fun.
I gotta shrink that up. That was that signature is too big. There we go. That's a little better. Better? Actually, I don't like where it's at either. I don't want it drawing that much attention.
Will this video be going up on YouTube?
I believe, yes.
Because it was
I believe, yes.
set up because it was restreamed on YouTube as well.
I'm going to try one more thing. Image, adjustments, hue and saturation. Let's try saturating it just a touch. Just a little bit. Kind of like that. What do you think? Like that? And then World Lion Day, I want it to echo some of the color we've got here. So I'm either going to go the same color. World Lion Day. Oh, you know what? I rastified it.
Uh-oh.
Oh, I can do this. Da da da. Lock it. Paintbrush. Rasterize it, I mean. Rastified it. I rastified it. Let me grab the other brush. So there's that, where the color kind of fits a little better. Or I could go completely complementary and go with like a blue. Or maybe the same color as the background back here. Ooh, I like that. I like that better.
Yeah.
Yep. So there it is, guys. 2 hours and 22 minutes. Man, that was a marathon.
Oh yeah. You want full screen it?
Yeah, sure. Actually, let me. There we go. You like that? Is that what you
Yeah.
meant? Yeah. So there's the image. I didn't do. Let me try one more thing and see. I'm at that point where I'm gonna see stuff.
Oh, what the hell?
Oh, what the hell? Go a little darker. And use my other brush.
So everything the light touches.
There. That's a little better. Shave. All right, there it is. World Lion Day poster. That's the image I did. So anyway, I had a lot of fun. I hope this worked across all the platforms. That was kind of neat.
I think it did.
Yeah. I had a ball. This was fun. It's been a while since I've sat down and painted for you guys. I've been doing so much animation. It's nice to sit and paint and talk and all that kind of stuff. But so today's Tuesday, which means Thursday. Well, I guess we're going to just be on everything. I was going to say, from here on out, we're going to be on everything. Normally, it's Tuesday, it's Facebook. Thursday, it's YouTube. But
I mean, if anything, we might focus more questions on YouTube next time.
Sure.
Than on Facebook. I mean, we'll discuss it after this one. But.
Yeah. So so come and join us on Thursday over on YouTube or whatever platform you want to watch us on, and who knows what we'll do. I think I'm going to do watercolor. That's right.
Watercolor.
I'm going to do some watercolor work. So thanks a lot, you guys. I really had a great time. And like I always say, go out and put some beauty back in the world and really try to be nice to somebody, help somebody out. I know. Put your cart away when you go grocery shopping. That drives me nuts.
Did something happen
So do
to you?
something nice for somebody. Put your cart away when you go grocery shopping. But anyway, thanks you guys. This was a lot of fun. And I will talk to you. Remember, the other thing too, go over to my website if you're interested in any kind of art instruction, and whether it be animation, digital painting, traditional drawing, anatomy, animal drawing, whatever it might be, we've got something for you over there, storyboarding. So check that out, creatureartteacher.com, creatureartteacher.com. You got it up? Is it there? Oh, look at that. And so hopefully we've got something for you. And but anyway, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Do something nice for somebody. Put your card away. And Dustin?
It's so random.
Not random.
Do it.
I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.